Discover how a heartwarming encounter with a street girl transformed a billionaire's life forever. Jack Thompson strode briskly through the bustling streets of downtown Los Angeles, the skyscrapers shimmering in the warm evening sun like trophies for his hard-won success. He was a self-made billionaire, known for striking deals that turned a profit faster than most could blink. Yet, deep within him, a consuming emptiness twisted tighter with each step. As he brushed past glistening cafes and luxurious boutiques, he couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental was missing: a connection, a sense of belonging, an echo of the laughter that once filled his family dinners. It was a constant reminder that wealth, even in its most decadent form, couldn't buy the warmth of love or the joy of community. That evening, in a moment both unexpected and piercing, Jack's life took a turn. As he hurried past a fast food restaurant, he caught sight of a 12-year-old girl huddled in a corner, her worn clothes a stark contrast against the glimmering city. Her name was Lily, and her eyes sparkled with a fierce light that tugged at Jack's heart. He could easily have walked on, dismissed her as just another unfortunate soul lost in the crowded asphalt jungle, but something compelled him to stop. "Why aren't you in school?" he found himself asking, a hint of judgment laced in his voice. Lily looked up, unflinching. "Because I've got to take care of my brother. He's more important." Her words were unwavering like the steel beams that constructed the buildings around them, but beneath them lay the quiet desperation of a child forced to grow up too soon. For the next hour, they spoke. Jack's assumptions about her life poured out. She countered each one with a stubborn resilience that took him by surprise. Watching her navigate the harsh reality of her world with unwavering hope, he felt a strange mixture of anger and empathy welling up inside him. This girl, who had every reason to be defeated, sparked something raw and real inside his chest. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and Jack found himself drawn back to those streets, captivated by Lily's fierce spirit. Each visit illuminated the harshness of her struggles raising her younger brother. Memories of cozy family dinners, laughter echoing in a warm home, haunted him. The values ingrained in him by his parents resurfaced, pushing against the walls he'd built around ambition and wealth. He wrestled with the implications of what he was experiencing. Wealth felt more like a cage than a cradle, but with every moment spent in Lily's world, Jack felt the sharp pull of his corporate responsibilities. A lucrative business deal loomed, one that would solidify his status among his peers. Yet, should he let it all slip through his fingers for a lonely girl and her brother who only wanted a shot at a life better than the one they were living? As the clock ticked down to the pivotal meeting, Jack learned that Lily's situation was even more desperate than he imagined. He felt an urgent need to act. The stakes had never felt so high. The seductive call of success loomed against the weight of newfound moral clarity. Would he step into the unknown to help her, or retreat into the familiar shadows of corporate greed? Just when he thought he'd made his decision, a shocking revelation about Lily's past struck, leaving him heart racing, questioning everything he'd built. Jack stood frozen in the middle of his opulent office, the city skyline framing him, a stark backdrop to his internal chaos. The revelation about Lily's past hung heavy in the air, an anchor pulling him away from the crisp grasp of the corporate world he so diligently cultivated. All he could see were her eyes, shimmering with determination and tinged with sorrow. It turned out Lily had not only been living on the streets but had escaped a home filled with turmoil, a life marked by neglect and fear. As Jack pieced together her story, a painful truth etched itself in his mind: she was fighting battles he could hardly begin to understand. The thought shook him to his core. Here was a girl who, against all odds, fought so hard to keep her family together despite having every reason to lose hope. The board meeting loomed. Jack's phone buzzed with reminders and notifications, calls from investors, reminders of deadlines, and desperate emails demanding his attention. But none of that mattered anymore. He found his mind drifting to a world where success wasn't measured by profit margins but by the smiles of children, by the laughter of a family reunited, or even just by a warm meal shared. With every tick of the clock, impatience clashed with a growing conviction. Moments blurred together as he recalled his office full of trophies, awards, accolades, all gleaming and yet hollow. What had been a symbol of his triumph now felt like a prison. He rehearsed his options: attend the meeting and win yet another deal, or take a leap into the unknown, leaving behind the life he'd meticulously built. His gut churned as the decision carved itself deeper into his heart. An image of Lily bounced in his mind. A small hand grasping his, her trust, her fierce spirit, shining even in her darkest moments. He hadn't just come to care for her. He felt a devotion burgeoning that transcended pity. This was a partnership forged in the fires of hardship, two souls seeking connection in a chaotic world. As the hands of the clock neared the hour, he drew a deep breath. Conscious of every heartbeat, he took one final glance out the window at the sprawling city beneath him, then grabbed his coat and made for the door. He would cancel the meeting. This decision was bigger than any deal. He stepped into the street, feeling the pulse of the city flow around him. The concrete jungle felt different now, alive with stories waiting to be heard. He needed to find Lily. She would understand. They could build a better future together, one fought for with passion and resilience. But just as he rounded the corner toward their usual meeting spot, he saw a crowd gathered. Panicked whispers filled the air, sending a chill down his spine. He quickened his pace, dread clawing at him as he broke through the throngs of people, and then he saw her. Lily was sitting on the cold ground, her head bowed and shoulders trembling. Jack's heart dropped. What happened? Why was she crying? He pushed forward, the weight of his choices hanging in the balance, feeling the world press in around him. What had he walked into? In that moment, he knew life-changing decisions were about to be made once more. But this time, it wasn't just about him, it was about Lily, her brother, and the kind of man he wanted to become. Would he have the courage to face whatever news lay before him? Jack pushed through the throng, his heart racing. He finally reached Lily, her small frame barely visible against the backdrop of anxious onlookers. Kneeling beside her, he leaned in closer, desperate for some connection, for her to know he was there, fighting through the panic that surged around them. Lily, he whispered softly, what's wrong? What happened? Her eyes flickered up to meet his, glistening with unshed tears. The sadness etched in her features turned his stomach into knots. Jack, she choked, her voice barely above a whisper. It's my brother, he's sick. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. She wiped her face with her sleeves, trying to regain composure, but Jack could see she was losing her grip. His gut dropped even further. What do you mean? Where is he? He's at the shelter. I was trying to get some food, something to help him. She took a shaky breath. But I couldn't find anything. And then her voice cracked, leaving behind the accusation of helplessness. Jack felt a rush of urgency. He could feel the tension morphing into something tangible, threatening to consume her. We can go together, he urged, his resolve strengthening. I'll help. Really? Her eyes widened, hope flickering through the despair. It was a small light, but it pushed through the encroaching darkness. Yeah, he said firmly. Let's get him what he needs. As if spurred by the promise, Lily nodded and scrambled to her feet, brushing off the dirt and tears. Together, they hurried through the crowd, Jack's heart pounding not just with fear for Lily's brother, but with an unfamiliar sense of purpose. He was straying from the path of his corporate empire, stepping into a world of struggle and survival that he had tried so hard to overlook. They reached the shelter, a modest building tucked between towering glass structures, each window reflecting the life inside. The air felt heavy with a different kind of weight, one soaked in desperation and harsh realities. Jack opened the door and instinctively placed a protective hand on Lily's back, guiding her inside. The atmosphere shifted. The warmth of humanity filled the air, yet despair lingered like a thin veil. Jack scanned the crowded room, trying to zero in on the source of Lily's distress. Her face was a mix of fear and determination, and it struck him anew how tough this world was for her. "Where is he?" Jack asked, realizing he would move heaven and earth for this girl whose spirit had captivated him without effort. Lily hesitated, glancing around at the sea of faces. "Over there," she said, pointing to a dim corner where several blankets lay in a heap. Jack's eyes spotted a small figure curled up in a ball, his frail frame almost disappearing into the dark folds. "Jack, he hasn't eaten in days," she said, biting her lip in an attempt to hold back another wave of tears. The truth gnawed at Jack. The depths of suffering they faced were far beyond what he had ever experienced. He steeled himself. "Okay, let me talk to the staff. We'll get him some food and see what we can do." Jack made his way over, urgency propelling him forward. He approached an older volunteer who was sorting through a stack of supplies. "Excuse me," he began, trying to maintain control over his emotions, "I need help. There's a sick little boy." The volunteer turned, her weathered eyes reflecting a depth of compassion. "We'll do everything we can," she said gently. Behind him, he could hear Lily's quiet sobs. It shattered the composure he was trying to hold on to. Jack felt his resolve swell. This moment stretched beyond anything he had managed to conceive. What if he could change their fate? What if he could turn this pain into a future for Lily and her brother? With that thought coursing through him, Jack took a deep breath. Something was shifting. The tether to his old life felt both liberating and terrifying. But amidst the chaos of uncertainty, a profound warmth blossomed in his chest. Could he really be the one to save them both? Suddenly, the older volunteer interrupted his thoughts. "Come with me, let us get started." Jack looked back at Lily, who was watching him with cautious hope. Whatever happened next would define their lives from this moment on. As they moved to help her brother, Jack realized that this was just the beginning. The fight for their future was only just beginning. But would he have the strength to navigate this unfamiliar path? Jack followed the volunteer, his heart racing. The urgency of the situation pressed like a weight on his shoulders. "What's his name?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. "Mark," the volunteer replied, her face softening. "He's been really sick. We've been keeping an eye on him, but we need to get proper help fast." They reached a cluttered area in the back, where a small cot lay like a forgotten dream. Mark's small, pale face was turned away, and the sight twisted Jack's gut. He had never seen a child so fragile. Around them, the shelter bustled with laughter and life, but here, in this corner, everything felt still. "Stay right here," the volunteer said, disappearing into another room. Jack knelt beside the cot, his eyes scanning Mark's frail body, emaciated under the heavy blanket. "Hey, buddy," he said gently, leaning closer. "Can you hear me?" Mark stirred slightly but didn't open his eyes. Jack reached out, placing the back of his hand against the boy's forehead. It was hot, too hot. Panic surged anew, but the familiar warmth was beginning to settle in him, the resolve that he would stand by Lily and her brother no matter what. Minutes felt like hours as he hovered near Mark, but finally, the volunteer returned, cradling a bowl of warm soup. "Here, this should help," she said, her voice gentle. Jack took the bowl, grateful for the first step they could take. "Mark," he said again, this time shaking him gently. "You need to eat something." Lily had joined them, her eyes wide with concern. She wrung her hands, biting her lip as she watched her brother. The silence screamed, a fragile moment stretching between hope and despair. "Please, just wake up," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jack held the bowl to Mark's lips, encouraging him to eat. Gently, he coaxed the soup into his mouth, wiping away the drips from the boy's chin as they fell. At first, he seemed unresponsive, but then Mark swallowed painfully, a flicker of awareness breaking through the haze. Suddenly, Mark's eyes fluttered open. They were dull, but at least he was here, present in the world. Lily, he croaked, and Jack's heart clenched tighter. Yeah, I'm right here, she said, her voice breaking with relief. I'm right here. Tears spilled over her cheeks, and Jack felt hope blooming in the middle of despair. He glanced at the volunteer, who nodded approvingly. Keep going, she encouraged softly. He needs to eat. With every spoonful, Mark became a little more aware. Soon, he was whispering to Lily, asking her where she had been. Jack could see the light of brotherly love shining between them, different from the pain he had witnessed only moments before. Here was a bond stronger than anything he had ever known, a family resilient in the face of adversity. When Mark finally finished the bowl, Jack sat back, a wave of exhaustion washing over him. He had crossed a line today, leaving behind his world of wealth and luxury. Maybe it was time to create a new purpose. Just then, the shelter's door swung open, and a new group of people flooded in. Their laughter bounced off the walls, and suddenly, the atmosphere felt lighter. But reality struck Jack as he noticed their appearance well-dressed, unbothered. In stark contrast to the raw needs of the children around them. Things are changing, he whispered to Lily, who was watching him with wide eyes. But we have to act. Acknowledging the duality of life unraveling before him ignited a desire to fight, and not just for Mark, but for countless others who echoed the same stories of struggle. Let us make this our mission, he said, locking eyes with Lily. The determination burned between them. Together? She asked, a hint of uncertainty lingering. Together, he confirmed, but as Jack turned back to Mark, still settling into his consciousness, doubts crept in. What would they need to do? Would they be heard above the noise of the busy world outside? And deep within him, a question loomed: could a simple act of kindness transform not only a boy's life but the world around them? Jack didn't know, but one thing was certain: this wasn't over yet. As Mark's eyes slowly blinked open, a wave of relief washed over Jack. The boy wasn't just a victim of his circumstances anymore, he was a brother, a survivor bringing the light of hope into this dim corner of the world. Jack watched as Lily whispered encouraging words to Mark. Each word was like a soothing balm, bringing him back little by little. Jack? Mark croaked out, his voice weak but growing stronger with each breath. Yeah, it's me, buddy, Jack replied, a smile breaking through the tension. You scared us there for a minute. He tried to mask the worry embedded in his voice, but Jack knew that his fear was still lingering. The shelter buzzed around them, people moving in and out, laughter mingling with the ping of metal utensils and children's chatter. Yet in their little world, everything else faded away. Are you feeling better? Lily asked, wiping her tears as she gently brushed Mark's hair back. Her love and concern were palpable, reminding Jack of the bond he wanted to foster between them. I think so, Mark whispered, his voice sounding stronger than it had moments ago. The small gesture triggered something deep within Jack, a sense of purpose igniting. Good. You have to eat more than you need your strength to get better, Lily insisted, her enthusiasm rubbing off on Jack, and he jumped back into action, grabbing the empty bowl. But before Jack could grab more soup, a woman in a crisp blazer, clearly out of place in the warmth of the shelter, approached them. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor, cutting through their intimate moment. Excuse me, she started, looking down her nose at them. Is this where the donations are going? To sick kids? Jack froze, caught between the desire to help and the frustration brewing inside him. He could see the judgment in her eyes and felt anger bubbling within. Do you want to help? He asked, his words shaping with a mix of defiance and sincerity. She blinked, seemingly taken aback. Jack was surprised by his own tone, but something within him felt fierce and protective. The girl, the boy, their bond, it all deserved better than criticism. Well, she stumbled, glancing at the other volunteers who had paused to witness her confrontation. Because if you want to help, there is work to be done. Kids like Mark deserve more than just a glance and a comment, Jack pushed, a fire igniting in his chest. The moment stretched thick in the air, teetering between anger and clarity as he gripped the edges of his own transformation. "Jack!" Lily gasped, her eyes wide, mixing shock with pride. "You didn't have to say that," but he shook his head, softening a bit. "Yeah, I did. Someone has to do it." His gaze returned to Mark, who was watching the interaction with wide eyes, absorbing every moment. The woman, caught off guard by Jack's sudden passion, shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't mean you should come back and see their faces light up with joy." "That was just one small bowl of soup, but it was everything to him," Jack said, a steady calm now falling over him as he felt a connection to something larger than himself. Turning back to Mark, he added, "Let us get you some more soup, okay? We're all going to make it out of this together." "I want to help, too," Lily declared, her words melting Jack's heart again. He smiled at her conviction, both of them drawing strength from each other. As the woman moved away hesitantly, Jack felt the weight of his voice still echoing within him. A new kind of strength was forging, one that could challenge the errors he had seen in the world around them. It wasn't just about Mark, but every voice that had ever gone unheard. Jack realized he wasn't just fighting for a little boy's recovery, he was fighting for everyone who carried the burdens of life's cruelties. "Let us reach out, Lily. We can do so much more than just look after him. We need to raise awareness, to inspire change." But as he spoke, Jack noticed Mark's gaze drifting out the window, back to the bustling street beyond where life continued without pause. And a new worry gripped him, how to keep that spark of determination alive, not just for Mark but for everyone who had ever felt lost. "Do you think our voices will really be heard?" he asked softly, the question lingering as the sun began to set, casting warm hues around them. Lily squeezed his hand tighter. "If we don't try, we'll never know." Jack's heart pounded at her reply. Together, they could change everything. Or at least, they would try. Would the world really listen? As a new chapter of their lives began, uncertainty teased them along with promise. What would their next step be? Would they break through the noise? Days turned into a week, and life in the shelter began to feel normal, as much as it could in their unpredictable world. Jack and Lily worked alongside the dedicated volunteers, serving meals, organizing supplies, and finding moments to laugh. Mark, now steadily improving, bonded with them, and the three formed an unlikely trio, each taking strength from the other's resilience. One evening, after a long day, Jack noticed Mark staring out of the window again, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. The boy's thin fingers traced the glass, drawing circles as he watched the cars go by. Jack sat down beside him, the weight of 100 questions resting on his own heart. "What's on your mind, Mark?" he asked gently, trying to catch that spark of curiosity which had ignited between them. "I want to see the world outside," Mark said quietly. "There are so many things happening out there." "Are they happy?" Jack's heart ached for the innocence woven into Mark's words. "The world is a complicated place, buddy. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes not. But you know what? There are good people out there too. People who care." Mark's big eyes searched Jack's. "Will I ever get to leave?" The question hung heavy in the air. Jack had been so focused on the immediate fight supporting Mark, raising awareness, trying to create change. He had not addressed the uncertainty of what lay beyond the shelter's walls. "Yes, you will," Jack finally said, though it felt like a promise he couldn't fully guarantee. "We're going to make sure of it." Just then, Lily rushed into the room, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Guess what? There's a festival happening downtown this weekend, a big one. They said we could take some of the kids from the shelter." Jack could feel a rush of energy in the room as Mark's face lit up. "Can I go?" he pleaded, the words tumbling out eagerly. "Absolutely. You can help us set up the booth and we can all have fun." Lily beamed. Jack could see the pure joy in her eyes. She could make even the thought of work seem like an adventure. As the days passed, preparations consumed their time with excitement. Each morning was filled with discussions about games, activities, and who would make the best sign to draw people to their booth. Jack watched the transformation in Mark. It was subtle yet powerful. The boy was no longer just recovering, he was thriving, finding joy in the anticipation of a new experience. On the day of the festival, they arrived with heartbeats racing and smiles wide. The atmosphere buzzed around them, vibrant with music, the smell of popcorn, and laughter echoing like a sweet melody. Children darted past, squealing with excitement, while families gathered around booths showcasing bright crafts and mouth-watering treats. "Look, Mark." Jack pointed to a colorful carousel nearby. "You'll get a chance to ride that." "I can." Mark couldn't contain his enthusiasm. He tugged at Jack's hand, nearly dragging him toward the rides, but before they could reach the carousel, an older girl with an infectious smile stopped them. "You guys. You look like you're here for fun." She was holding a glittery sign that read "Make-A-Wish," and her vibrant energy attracted other kids. "We are," Lily answered, stepping forward with a grin. "We're from the shelter." "Oh, that's amazing," the girl said, her eyes sparkling. "If you're with us, we have some special surprises planned. We should get you involved." Jack felt a rush of excitement. What kind of surprises? The thought ignited possibilities that filled the air with undeniable magic. They exchanged awkward introductions, but it seemed like they were already best friends, bonding over shared experiences. As the festival unfolded, Jack felt a sense of belonging swell inside. Every moment, every laugh, every light in Mark and Lily's eyes reminded him why they had started this journey. They weren't just there for a day, this was the beginning of something bigger. Jack realized his heart was wide open, feeling hope blooming like the vibrant flowers scattered around the festival, but amidst the laughter, a whisper of doubt lingered in the back of Jack's mind. Could they keep the momentum going? What would happen when the festival ended, and life resumed its harsh reality? "Jack," Mark said, tugging at his sleeve, snapping him out of his thoughts. "Can we really make a change, like you said?" Looking into those hopeful eyes, Jack felt a surge of determination. "We won. Just try, Mark. We will. Together." As uncertainty and hope danced hand in hand, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to take another turn. Would this festival lead them to discover other children who needed their voices? With the laughter of children swirling around them and the promise of change just within reach, Jack took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. He was on the brink of something monumental, and he felt it like thunder rumbling in the distance. What awaited them beyond that vibrant day? The vibrant sounds of the festival enveloped them like a warm hug. Mark pulled Jack along, his heart racing as they approached the carousel. Kids squealed with delight, their laughter mingling with the cheerful music that played on a loop. Mark's eyes sparkled as he watched the colorful horses spin, feeling the thrill of what it meant to be part of something beautiful. "Hold on a second," Lily exclaimed, stopping abruptly. She turned to a nearby booth, where a woman wearing a bright apron was calling out for volunteers to help face paint. "We should definitely try this." Before Jack could offer an opinion, Mark was already pulling him towards the face painting station. "Please, Jack. I want to be a lion," he declared, his eyes wide with pleading. Jack chuckled, a wave of affection washing over him. "All right, buddy. Lion it is." As they waited in line, Jack observed the crowd around them. Families were laughing, sharing cotton candy, and exchanging stories as they watched performers juggle and dance. The atmosphere was contagious, each moment threaded together with joy. Jack felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could create a lasting change, one heartbeat at a time. Mark bounced up and down as they neared the front, and when it was finally his turn, he beamed at the painter, who transformed his face into a vivid lion with golden mane and fierce whiskers. Jack's heart swelled at the sight. It wasn't just paint, it was Mark embracing a piece of himself, shedding the heavy past even if just for a fleeting moment. "Look at you," Lily cheered, snapping a picture with her phone. "You look amazing." "Roar!" Mark shouted, his face lighting up with happiness. After a couple of spins on the carousel, they stumbled upon the Make-A-Wish booth again. A group of kids clustered excitedly around a table, crafting colorful bracelets. Each thread woven into those tiny pieces felt like a connection being forged, a reminder that hope could be tangible. "Can we make some, Jack?" Mark asked, his eyes wide with wonder. "Of course. Let us join in." The three of them settled at the table, hands busy sorting through beads and strings. They laughed and planned their designs, each bracelet a promise of friendship, a shared memory to carry long after the festival ended. As they crafted, a girl approached them a little older than Lily, with messy hair and a casual smile. "Hey, you guys are really good at that. Can I sit with you?" "Sure." Lily replied enthusiastically. "What's your name?" "Callie. I'm from around here." Her casual confidence struck a chord with Jack. There was something refreshing about her. She leaned in, her hands working fast. "You guys are from the shelter, right? That's awesome. I'm really glad you're here. This place is for everyone." Mark, donning a proud lion face, looked at Callie with curiosity. "Do you think we can stay forever?" Callie paused, her gaze piercing yet kind. "You can stay as long as you want in your heart. You gotta make the world your own." Jack felt a shiver run down his spine. Those words seemed to echo with truth. They were about more than just today. It was a call to action, a reminder that beyond the fun was a deeper meaning waiting to unfold. "Let us promise each other no matter what happens, we'll keep making a difference," Mark chimed in, his lion face breaking into a serious demeanor. Jack blinked, pushing down emotions that threatened to spill over. "Absolutely," he said, pulling the two girls closer, creating a huddle. "Starting right now." They sealed their promise with laughter and a series of high fives. But as Jack looked around, he couldn't help but wonder, would they find their strength when the festival ended? Would they remember that spark in the darker days ahead? The festival was alive with excitement, but a storm of uncertainty brewed within Jack's mind. As the day faded under a dusky sky, he wondered what tomorrow would bring. How would they maintain this energy in the everyday struggles they faced? With questions tantalizingly hanging in the air, they finished their bracelets, their hands a blur of colors and patterns. Once they completed one, Mark raised it like a trophy, shouting, "This is our promise." Little did they know, the promise would be put to the test sooner than they imagined. Just as Jack caught his breath and glimpsed a more hopeful tomorrow, a commotion caught their attention, a crowd gathering at the edge of the festival, and the buzz of whispers hinted that something unexpected was about to unfold. With hearts full of courage and curiosity, they turned to see what awaited them next. Would it change everything for them? The crowd at the edge of the festival buzzed like a beehive, drawing Jack, Mark, and Lily closer. Curiosity pulled at them, quickening their steps. As they approached, faces twisted in concern and whispers of confusion swirled around them. "What is going on?" Lily asked, her brow furrowing as she peered over a sea of heads. "I don't know," Jack replied, scanning the crowd for a clue. He felt an electric thrill of uncertainty. What could it be? Suddenly, a voice rose above the rest, sharp and clear. "I told you to stay away. I don't need any help." A young girl, barely older than Lily, stood in the center of the gathering. Her clothes were tattered, hair wild and tangled, yet her fierce eyes shone with defiance. Jack's heart twisted. He recognized a fierce hunger for independence, a spark of resilience. He felt empathy flood in. She reminded him of Mark, bursting with strength against all odds. "Let us get closer," Mark tugged at Jack's arm, excitement interlaced with concern crackling in his voice. As they squeezed through the crowd, the girl's words became clearer. "I can handle this myself," she shouted at a well-meaning adult who approached her cautiously. The crowd shifted, some murmuring encouragement, while others exchanged worried looks. "What's the story?" Jack asked a woman standing nearby. "She's been living on the streets for a while now," the woman replied, her voice low. "She's a tough kid. Everyone's trying to help her, but it just seems to make things worse." Jack caught the girl's eyes for a fleeting moment, and a world of understanding passed between them. He could see the walls she had built around her heart, the armor she wore as protection. "Maybe she needs somebody just to listen," he whispered to Mark, who nodded. "Should we go talk to her?" Mark's lion face held fierceness, an urge to protect bubbling inside him. "Do you think she'll want to talk?" Lily asked, worry etching her small features. "We can't know unless we try," Jack replied, feeling his own courage bubbling. "Let's give it a shot." Gathering their nerve, the trio moved closer, stepping out of the crowd just enough to let the girl know they weren't a threat. Mark led the way, surprisingly confident, his face painted with that mischievous lion grin. "Hey," he said, lifting his chin slightly. "I think you're really cool for standing up for yourself." The girl's eyes narrowed, surprise mingling with skepticism. "And who are you?" "I'm Mark, just a kid like you. I know things can get rough sometimes, but it's okay to need help." Jack could hardly believe the wisdom spilling from the boy's mouth, yet he felt a swell of pride. Maybe Mark had it in him to inspire change just like that, to reach out and create connections that mattered. "I don't need anyone," the girl shot back, although her voice wavered for a moment. "Maybe not right now," Lily chimed in, her gentle voice cutting through the tension. "But sometimes, friends can help. It doesn't mean you're weak." The girl studied them closely, lips pressed together in thought. Jack held his breath, feeling like their words hung in the air thick with possibility. Would she let them in? Could this be a moment that would mark both sides, opening a door between worlds? "Why do you care?" the girl finally asked, her voice softer now. "Because we've been there," Jack said, stepping closer and locking eyes with her. "We know what it's like to feel alone, to fight every day just to find a bit of joy. You don't have to do it alone." Silence enveloped them, the crowd momentarily fading away as the girl's defenses started to crack. Just at that moment, something in the air shifted. A shout rang out, breaking the spell like glass shattering on the ground. "Hey! What's going on here?" A tall man, striding with authority, pushed through the crowd. The girl recoiled, eyes wide and fearful. The urgency in her gaze sent a shiver down Jack's spine. Suddenly, the warmth of connection felt threatened. "Stay!" Jack urged as he reached out for her, but she stumbled backward, fear clouding her eyes. "Please, it's not safe here," she whispered, her resolve wavering. Jack's heart pounded. Would they lose this moment? Would the promise of understanding slip away just like that? He glanced at Mark and Lily, their faces reflecting the same pulse of urgency, one thought circulating in their minds: how could they help her? As the crowd swirled with confusion, Jack knew their next move would define everything. Would it be enough to pull the girl back from the edge of fear? Would their promise of friendship radiate like a beacon in the dark? With a shaky inhale, Jack prepared to speak again, determined to reach her before it was too late. "Please don't go." Jack's voice was a desperate whisper in the chaos. The girl's eyes darted back towards him, framed by the tall man's advancing shadow, her breath catching in her throat. He could see the gears turning in her mind, fear battling with the flicker of hope ignited by their words. The man loomed closer, his presence overshadowing them, an air of authority dripping from his every word. "Step away from her. She needs to come with me." "No. I don't want to." The girl cried out, her voice stronger now, fueled by the fire of defiance. "Just listen to me," the man insisted, his tone sharp, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. "This is no place for you. You're in danger out here." Jack felt his pulse quicken. The girl needed courage, and they were standing on the edge of a chasm. One wrong move could send her tumbling into a world of despair once again. She's not in danger with us, he said, stepping forward, heart hammering against his ribcage. She's safe here. Mark moved up beside Jack, his eyes blazing. You're wrong. She's stronger than you think. And she's not alone anymore. The girl looked between them, uncertainty etched across her features. Jack could feel her resistance wavering, the tight grip on her emotions beginning to slacken. Listen, Lily said gently, catching the girl's gaze. We're not here to push you. We just want to help, if you let us. None of us have to face this alone. The man scoffed. Help? What do kids like you know about help? She belongs in a shelter. You're not safe with her. You know that. Maybe, Jack said, raising his chin defiantly. But she gets to choose what she wants. She gets to choose who she trusts. The tension in the air thickened, and Jack could feel the anxiety buzzing around them, the crowd holding their breath. The girl's brow furrowed, conflict raging in her eyes. Do you want to go? Jack asked softly, leaning in closer, as if the intimacy of the moment could break through the barriers. You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. A flicker of vulnerability passed over her face. You have no idea what it's like, she whispered, voice trembling. You're right, Jack replied, his voice steady. But we want to. We care enough to try and understand. That's a start, isn't it? Suddenly, the urgency cranked up a notch as the man took a step forward. This is your last chance. Come with me now. His voice was like thunder, insistent and unyielding. Lily moved near Jack, a determined glimmer in her eyes. You don't have to listen to him. You're stronger than that. Something snapped in the girl, a fire igniting in her spirit. I don't want to go. I can't, not like this. Jack felt his heart leap. This was it. She was breaking through, finding her voice in their support. Then stay with us. We will figure it out together, whatever it takes. Before the man could respond, the girl took a few steps back, putting distance between herself and the looming threat. Panic flared in the crowd, excited whispers rising like waves. Let us go, now. Jack urged, reaching out. The girl hesitated, terror and relief battling within her. What if it doesn't work? She asked, eyes glistening with unshed tears. What if I fail? Jack stepped closer, conviction in every word. You won. Not with friends by your side. We've got your back. As she stared at him, the boy's heart raced with the gravity of the moment. Would she trust them? Would she take the leap before the man could close in? Just then, the ground seemed to shake beneath them. A loud crash echoed in the distance, startling the crowd, shifting their focus away for a second, and in that split second, Jack couldn't help but think, what if this was the moment that changed everything for her? Please, Jack whispered again as the world around them blurred into noise, the only clarity being the girl's wide eyes fixed on him, filled with uncertainty and something else. Would she take a leap of faith? As the tall figure lunged again, Jack knew they had to act fast. The moment hung delicately, an open door to escape, hope, and friendship before it was snatched away. Would they finally break through, or would fear and authority close in around them, locking the girl back into the shadows? In that charged moment, the air became thick with possibility. Jack could almost feel the energy vibrating in the space between them. Lily, Mark, and the girl stood on the precipice of change. Would she step into the light, or retreat into the darkness again? Trust us, Jack said, leaning forward, his voice steady and warm. There's strength in numbers, in shared experiences. You don't have to stand alone anymore. The girl's features softened slightly, her defiance flickering. You really mean it? She asked, the vulnerability in her voice unraveling Jack's heart. You'd stand with me? Absolutely, Mark chimed in, his lion face glowing with fervor. We can make this work together. Lily's hand flew out to touch the girl's arm, a lifeline in a turbulent sea. "We believe in you. Just give yourself the chance to try, okay?" The man surged forward again, the warning in his eyes growing sharper. But in that moment, the girl's gaze met Jack's, and she saw a reflection of her own struggle. I want to," she murmured, the words spilling out with a newfound determination. "But I don't know how." "Let us show you," Jack urged, emboldened by the flicker of hope. The crowd's murmur erupted into chaos as they stepped closer, forming an unbreakable circle of support around her. It felt electric, palpable. "Just take my hand." Tentative, she reached for him. The moment their fingers intertwined, something shifted. A rush of warmth surged through Jack, igniting a fire in his soul. "You're not alone anymore," he reassured her. With a final glance back at the imposing man, the girl took a deep breath, stepping back into the warmth of this new connection. Jack and Lily flanked her, and Mark bounced alongside them, transformed from the small boy with a lion face to a roaring beacon of friendship. The other kids in the crowd began to cheer, voices rising in a wave of solidarity. It took mere seconds, but in that fleeting moment of bravery, a young girl had found her footing in a world that had pushed her away for too long. The tall man, momentarily halted by the swell of support, turned to leave, frustration etched in his face. Jack felt a swell of confidence, realizing that they could build a community that pushed back against the tide of indifference. They stood there, hand in hand, three unlikely companions bonded by their desire for change. Jack could feel the momentum shift. All around them, others watched and whispered, captivated by their courage. The cacophony of the festival faded to the background, and all that mattered were the hearts beating in unison. As the festival continued, Jack could sense that this was just the beginning. They had ignited something, a passion for hope that extended beyond their newfound connection. "We can take this moment and build from it," Jack announced, glancing at Lily and Mark. "Let us make this our mission. Let us reach out, extend our hands to those who need it most." "Yes." Lily beamed, her eyes shimmering like stars. Mark bounced excitedly. "Together we can make a difference." And as they walked away from the chaos, each determined to share their story, Jack realized the walls he had built around his heart were falling brick by brick. It felt good. They could be the voices of hope, the change-makers who refused to let fear dictate their future. Over the coming weeks, Jack, Lily, and Mark dedicated their time to creating initiatives that would uplift others like them. They set up workshops in the community, igniting passion in kids who felt lost. There were fundraisers, outreach programs, and endless brainstorming sessions filled with laughter and ideas that burned bright in their hearts. The girl they had rescued from despair later joined their mission, bringing her fierce spirit to the forefront. They became a dynamic team, each shining light merging into a radiant beacon of hope. Jack watched in awe as they transformed not just the lives of those around them but also their own. Mark grew stronger, finding his voice in advocacy, while Lily blossomed into a leader. At the heart of this newfound life was Jack, now an unexpected hero in the making. The emptiness that once consumed him filled gradually with love and purpose, redefining success for him completely. They were more than just survivors, they were family, a ragtag bunch who fought for each other, a community woven together by connection and compassion. And as he looked back at the festival that had changed everything, he knew it had sparked a journey that would inspire countless others. It was a reminder that hope isn't just found in grand gestures but often in small acts of kindness shared between friends who refused to let the light fade away. As they stood around their newly established community center, laughter ringing in the air, Jack felt a profound sense of joy. They had made a promise to each other, and today, they fulfilled it together. But this was not the end. It was the dawn of something much greater. The city pulsed with energy, waiting to embrace the stories they would share and the battles they would continue to fight. Jack took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of friendship wrap around him like an embrace. They were ready to face the world, together. Now this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the love. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending because we want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to see this transformation. Let us keep the light shining bright.